In this video, we're going to take a look at using Bricks Builder to create a simple membership site. A site that we can kind of lock content away and also make some free content and some other cool things. Now, I am going to assume a certain level of prior knowledge when it comes to working with Bricks Builders and some of the other tools we're going to work with. If this isn't the case and you want to get up to speed before jumping into this, I would highly recommend you jump over to learnbricksbuilder.com and check out my Bricks 101 video series. They are all totally free and it should give you the foundations you need to get up and running in Bricks and then follow along with this more intermediate level tutorial. With that out of the way, let's take a quick look at what we're going to create and take a look at the tools we're going to use. So the site is super simple. We basically have a typical kind of website that has articles on there. You can jump into any of these articles and inside here you can see we have all the content available. What we want to do, though, is make this only available to people that are specific members, unless, of course, it's free. But on top of that, we want to add a little bit of spice to it, where we kind of tease them into what they can expect from the full article. To do that, we're going to be using a free plugin called Advanced Custom Fields. This allows us to add in, as its name suggests, additional custom fields to the normal WordPress posts. So let's take a look at the tools we're going to use to create this, and then we'll start building it out with Advanced Custom Fields on Bricks. So for this video, we're going to be using a really simple tool set. I've got Advanced Custom Fields, the free plugin installed, but you could use other ones like Pods, Metabox, anything like that you want to use. As long as it allows you to create custom fields and associate those with the normal WordPress posts, it's all good. So we're going to be using Fluent Snippets for one particular purpose in this video. So if you don't want to use something like Fluent Snippets, you don't have to. You could simply add the code to your functions PHP file or use a plugin that allows you to edit and create roles. For this, I want to keep this really simple. So let's first of all create that user role, and then I'll explain why I want to set that up. Let's just jump into Fluent Snippets and let's add our first snippet. And all you're going to do is make sure you've got the functions set as the option. We're going to just drop in this little bit of code. Like I say, this will be available down below, so you can just copy and paste this in if you want to follow along. And all this is going to do is it's going to create a new user role called member, and it's going to apply the same role functions as the subscriber. So it'll basically operate exactly the same way as a subscriber. You may be thinking, well, why do you want to do this, Paul? Well, I'm thinking in the future, I may want to expand what I do here, and it makes sense to be able to separate a subscriber, which may be a kind of free level tier, with a paid member that maybe has different options available. Like I say, this is just thinking in the future how I can expand things out. So by using this member role, it means that I can separate the two out if I want to use them in the future. If you don't have any intention of that, you can skip this part completely. Use the timestamps down below. Once that's done, all we're going to do is give this a name. Add a description if you want to. I'm not going to group things because this is the only one we're going to use. And we're going to say we want to run this everywhere and create the snippet. And now we'll just activate it. And we now have a new user role that we can tap into and use for various different parts of our overall setup. So to be able to use these member roles, which we need is an integral part of the overall setup here, we need to have a way of allowing people to register for an account, but also assign that user role to them as opposed to just becoming a subscriber, the standard normal WordPress user role. To do that, we're going to use a function inside Bricks that allows us to easily create custom forms and also then set that up to have a custom registration, login page, and so on. We're going to stick to the registration page in this example, but the process is basically the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over into our pages and we're going to add a new page. We'll give this a name. We'll call this user registration. We'll click on publish and we'll come in and edit this with Bricks. Now, I'm not going to focus on design for this particular tutorial. You can design it however you want. I want to focus on functionality more than anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to simply add in a section. Inside there, we've got our container and we're going to just come in and we're going to add in a form. Just choose the native form function from Bricks Builder and select it. Now you may have noticed that my Bricks looks probably a little different to what yours looks like if you are viewing this video at the time of release. That's because I'm using Bricks 2.0. This is the beta release of it. It's a release candidate, which means it's not far away from the final version. And it makes more sense for me to show you how to do it in this version than it does in the 1.x version, which may be superseded in a couple of days, a week or two. Everything I cover will be pretty much exactly the same. There's just a couple of additional benefits that speed up how we can work inside Bricks 2.0 in comparison to the older version. However, you can still do every single thing I'm going to cover in this video in the current version of Bricks Builder. So now our form is inserted. Let's customize this to get exactly what we need. Obviously, we don't need a message inside here because this isn't a contact form. So let's delete it. Let's add a new field in. This time we're going to choose the option for a password. We'll change the label. We'll remove the placeholder and just change that to password as well. And again, we're going to keep this super simple. We are going to say we want to set a minimum length of 8 characters. So we just don't have really insecure passwords, hopefully. Anyway, like I say, this is just demonstrating how this basic functionality works. Once you've got that set up, all we need to do now is come down to the option for actions. Inside there, we're going to set the actions up. Now, I'm going to remove the email, but obviously you probably would set an email to say thank you for registering for a new account, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. For that, we don't want to worry about that. What we do want, though, is to say user registration. So this now allows us to set this up to register new users. So now we've got the user registration inside here. We can change the success message and say, thank you for registering. And then what we're going to do is we come to the new user registration, which is the action, and we can configure the action. Let's expand this. And we can choose the email field, which is going to be, funnily enough, email. The password, which we're going to choose as password. And then the username, if you want to, we can set that up to be your name. There you go. And we're going to not worry too much about first name and last name and so on. What we are interested in, though, is the user role. We're going to change this from subscriber, and there's our new custom user role called member. We'll select that, and now that will create that account and also register them as a member and not a subscriber. You can also send a WordPress notification if you want to, and also auto-log the user in, which in all honesty is a nice way of doing it because it means that once they've signed up, they're automatically logged in and they can start using their account. Okay, so with that being said, let's minimize this. Let's come to our submit button and change that from send, makes no sense, and we'll say register. And if you want to set anything else up on here, you absolutely can do. We just want something super basic. So now let's save this. That's the form created, and we could just leave it at this point if we want to and just have this embedded in our site wherever we kind of want to use it. However, it makes more sense if we come back out into our settings, and we can access that by going to the command palette or pressing Command and K on the keyboard to open this up. And we're going to come into settings, we choose dashboard, and inside here, we're going to come into our general tab, scroll down until we get to the option for custom authentication pages. Set your registration page, and we'll set that as user registration. So now that will replace the default WordPress registration page with our custom registration page, which will automatically log the user in and set them up to have a user role of member. That's all set up and done. All we need to do is click Save Settings, and that's our registration page set up. Now, you may also need to come into your settings, WordPress itself, come into General, and choose the option for anyone can register. Again, you can see we could also set the role up inside here as well. But we want to use a nice custom way of actually setting things up. It looks a lot nicer. Hit save our changes inside here. But we'll have a custom login, custom registration page, all those kinds of things, and just kind of removes it from the normal boring WordPress kind of setup. So that's that side of things configured. We've now got a registration page. Again, you can repeat the same kind of process if you want to create a custom login page, lost password page, and so on. The process is fundamentally the same. Now, if you're getting value from this video, why not hit that thumbs up button to tell YouTube that you enjoy it? And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button to be notified when new content just like this is added to the channel. But if you're not enjoying it, well, you can hit the thumbs down button twice, as that seems to work pretty well too. Anyway, let's get back on with today's tutorial. Okay, the next step now is to add in those custom fields that allow us to create a kind of custom rich snippet that'll tease people into what they can actually see for the entire article. And also we're going to have an option that allows us to check a simple box that says this is a free article, and then people can read it, whether they're logged in, registered, logged out, doesn't matter, be available for everybody. So to do that, we're going to come into ACF or whatever tool you've chosen to use. We're going to simply come into our field groups. And from here, we're going to add a new field group. Going to give it a name. In this example, I'm going to call it Post Extra Fields. And then we're going to create just 2 simple meta fields. First one is going to be a WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get. In other words, this gives us a kind of rich way of being able to sort of insert images, style text a little bit, and so on. I'm going to give it a label, and we're going to just precede everything with the post so we know exactly where it is. So we're going to call this post teaser. The field name is automatically created. Like I say, we're going to keep this post at the beginning because it makes our lives a lot easier. Then we can come in and we can customize this if we want to. So we'll come into a presentation, for example. And what we can do is we can say visual and text. We'll say visual only. You can have a full toolbar, or you can have a really basic example. Let's choose basic just to kind of display it. Show media upload buttons. Yes, because I want people to be able to upload images into this post so we can create a nice rich experience. With that being said, that's that one done. So let's just minimize that. Let's add a new field in, And this is just simply going to be an option that allows us to select whether something is true or false. Again, you don't have to use this method. You could use a select field or a checkbox field, whatever you kind of want to do. I'm going to go for true and false. We're going to call this free. I'm going to change this to post_free. It just means that it's easier to organize things when you're looking through all the additional fields you may add in on more complex projects. Get into the habit of giving what the actual meta field relates to at the beginning. Just makes things a little easier to find. Okay, so that's the basic setup. We can come into our presentation and we'll say our stylized UI looks a lot nicer. On text is going to be yes. Off text is going to be no. And that's basically it. So it just means that when you switch it on, that's going to basically pertain to yes, that's the value. And if it's switched off, no will be the value. So is it free? Yes or no? There we go. Now we just need to make sure this is associated with the correct part of our overall setup. In this example, it is by default. So post type is equal to posts. You can come into your presentation. You can customize where this actually gets placed if you want to. We'll leave the basic options as they are, and we'll just come up to save changes. Okay, so now we've created our ACF fields and associated those with our posts. Let's come into our posts and just go in and say, let's look at all the posts on here and open one up. And now you can see we've got our extra fields at the bottom for our teaser and for whether this is free, yes or no. So you can see, simple as that. Okay, so let's save this. Let's add a little bit of information inside here, just so we've got some content that's different to this. So when we start setting the conditions to show and hide things, we can clearly see exactly what we're talking about. So we'll just use a little bit of plain old filler text. There we go. And we're going to just pop an image in between. So we'll just drop a space in there, add media, choose an image that we know isn't included in any of our articles, insert that into our post. We'll specify this is the larger version, insert that into our post. You can see there's our image, there's our content underneath, and we'll say, no, we're going to leave this. This isn't free yet. We'll test that a little later, and we'll hit save. And now we've got our free content, which is our teaser, and our full article, which is obviously the entire thing. So now what we can do is we can come back out of this and start customizing our template. So let's come into Bricks and into the template section. And you can see I've already got the templates included here. You could build these yourself from scratch. It's entirely up to you. Or you can use something like Bricksies, which I've pretty much what I've done here to speed the process up. But the archive is going to stay as it is. We're not touching that. We're going to come into the single post template, which will actually show us the content of our post. So let's edit this with Bricks. So this is the basic template. So we've got a kind of teaser image at the top and basic info. So this is just the sort of the normal featured image. But if we scroll down, we can see this is our content. Let's minimize this up a little bit so we can see what's going on. It's pretty simple setup. We've got the information on the left-hand side, which is about the author, which is perfectly fine. That can stay. Everybody can see that. And we've got some breadcrumbs here, but then we've got what is basically just a normal WordPress post content element. So this will pull in whatever is inserted into the post that this is referencing. So all the images and so on. And that's okay if you want to show everything. So the first thing we're going to need to do is set up some conditions on this for where and when it can be seen. To do that, we make sure we've got it selected. We're going to come over then into our conditions on the left-hand side. And inside here, we can create conditions to show and hide and a bunch of other pretty cool things. So let's just go in and click add our first condition. So we want to first of all specify that the user has to be a member to be able to see this premium content. Let's drop this list down, come to the user section and say user role. Then we've got some basic ways of checking is or is not in this example. So is, and select, and you can see there's our new custom role of member. Select it. So now this is going to check if that user is the role of member, and if they are, they'll be able to see it. If they're not, it'll be hidden. Now, obviously, I'm an admin, so I won't see it. So what we can do is we can come in and we can add admins inside here as well. And this is one of the key differences between Bricks 2.0 and Bricks 1.x. You have to add these in one by one, if I remember correctly. In 2.0, you can add multiple conditions into the same field for things like your user roles and so on. It's just a simpler, cleaner way of doing it. So the other thing I also want to check is just to double check and make sure that they're also logged in. So we click the plus condition. This is going to say this and this has to be met. So we're going to just drop this down and we're going to say user login is equal to logged in. Okay, so now we check in two different things. We're checking whether their user role is a member or an admin and that they are logged in. So let's save this. Let's test it out. Let's take a look. So I am logged in, and as you can see, I can see everything inside here, and I'm an admin. However, if we open this up in an incognito window where we're not logged in, and we open up any of these articles, so we'll open a completely different one up, you can see I can still see the top, I can see the information, but now I can't see the actual content. So because I'm not logged in and I don't have a user role of either an administrator or a member, you can't see it. Simple as that. But this just looks a bit rubbish. So we want to give the end user, someone that's visiting this, a little bit of a teaser to make them think, maybe I want to register for this particular account to get this full access, but I want to get a teaser to find out if I like it or not. So let's deal with that next. So to do that, we just need to add a new section in, and we're going to use that section to actually be controlled by different conditions. So there's a couple of ways you can handle this. The easiest way is, and I'm going to just show you this really simple way to start off with, we're going to add in a new element. And from here, we're going to just search for rich text. We're going to add the rich text element in. We'll pop this above our post content just because it makes it a little easier to see what's going on. We'll select it, come back out of the conditions for now and get rid of this. And we're going to just drop in that custom information that we pulled in from ACF. So to do that, we're going to simply come into the little lightning bolt, come down to ACF, and inside there you can see we've got post teaser. Select that, drops in the shortcode, and you can see there's our post teaser. So that's the information. But obviously, it makes no sense at the moment because we've got both the teaser and the full article. So let's set some conditions up now to show and hide various different parts. So what we're going to do, rich text is selected, come into our conditions, click the add, select our condition, and we're going to just choose the option for user role. We don't need to worry about whether they're logged in or logged out because this is everybody other than people that have access to the full article. So all we need to do now is say is not an administrator or a member. That's basically all we need to do. Now if we save this, let's go back and check our page out as an incognito. So let's open up our article. And you can see there's our little teaser section, but not the full article. However, when we're logged in as an administrator or as a member, come to the same article, and you'll see we don't see the teaser, we now see the full article. So it's pretty simple. All we're doing is using some conditions to show and hide based upon user role, logged in status, those kinds of things. But you can also add extra level into this where we take a look at adding in some free content that anybody logged in, logged out, regardless, will be able to see. So let's deal with our post content, the actual premium content first. Make sure we've got it selected, come back over into our conditions, and we're going to add in an or condition. So we're going to add this in, select our condition, and what we're going to do is we're going to check for dynamic data. Choose that option from the list, choose a little dynamic data icon, and come down and find our free ACF post free field. I'm going to set this then to check. Then we're going to insert a value of 0 or 1 based upon whether it's free or paid. So for our example, we're going to insert the value of 1 to say that it equals free. So we say, yep, there we go. And we're going to hit save. So now what we're going to do is we're going to come in and handle our teaser content. This is going to be slightly different. Choose the option from the list. But instead of adding an or condition, we want to tag it on to this condition. So we're going to click to add an and condition. Now basically do exactly the same thing. So we're going to say dynamic data, choose our dynamic data, set this to be equal to, I'm going to set this to be 0. Hit save. And now if we go back and check, here's where we're logged in as an administrator. Let's go and take a look at that article. As you can see, we get our full article. We don't see the teaser. Into our incognito window, and again, let's refresh this to make sure we've got the latest version. And as you can see, because this is a free article, we don't see that teaser. However, if we go back and set that to be a paid article, so it's no longer free, and hit save, again, look at it when we're logged in. So we'll reload our logged in version, and we see the full article. Come over into our incognito window and refresh. And now we get the teaser, and we don't have the full version. So that's how you can use conditions in Bricks Builder alongside advanced custom fields to be able to create a membership type website. So where could you take this in the future? Well, you could take a look at adding in payment options. So the ability to subscribe to an annual payment or a lifetime payment, those kinds of things, which would then tie you into that member role. And like I said, right back at the beginning of the video, you can give subscribers then for the free account and also the member for the paid accounts. If you'd like to see me expand this tutorial into something like that, let me have a comment down in the comment section down below. Hopefully you found this useful, and if you want to learn more about working with Bricks Builder, you can check out this playlist with tons of videos on there. As always, my name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time,
Take care.